The end of Two Blue Vortex Chapter 8 left us with a lot of interesting topics to talk about, to say the least. From Jura's true identity, Sarada potentially meeting Hidari, and of course Himawari's true power revealed, lots of stuff went down this month. Just to quickly summarize the chapter, first Kawaki and Delta headed off to Boruto's location after Ada spotted them with her Rasengan, but Boruto vanished without warning, casting suspicion from Kawaki. Meanwhile, Mitsuki and Ada had a pretty powerful conversation about their artificial lives and the importance of finding a self-identity, drawing a parallel between two characters I honestly never expected. I think this was a really good way to wrap up Mitsuki's character development from the last chapter. Jumping back to the Shinju, we find Jura and Hidari stepping foot in the Hidden Leaf Village and wreaking havoc on the first line of defense. While casually strolling down the road and exploring the village, they're jumped by Kawaki out of nowhere. Jura busted out some moves and smacked Kawaki all the way back to Naruto Part 1. The two of them then pulled up on Himawari, sensing Jubi chakra in her and mistaking her for Naruto Uzumaki. To their disbelief, Naruto was in the body of a 12-year-old girl. And that's where the chapter left off. Without wasting any time, the first thing I want to talk about is that ending. Jura really mistook Himawari for Naruto? This is the same dude that just two-pieced an Otsutsuki level character like it was nothing. He's the one sensing immense power coming from Hima? Obviously this could just be a simple mistake. Jura said he was tracking his target, Naruto, based off of Kurama's chakra. And it's possible Himawari has a little bit of chakra since she's the child of a Jinchuriki and was born with the whiskers on her face. But this wasn't the first time she's been hyped up like this. In Boruto chapter 77, Damon had also mistaken her for someone extremely powerful too. According to his exact words, he sensed an intensity from her and she was capable of dodging his attacks easily. Just for reference, Damon destroyed Unlimited Code in a 1v1 and has been known to scoff at Naruto and Sasuke's power, stating he could kill them with no problem. The cocky little kid. So to be impressed by Himawari's power at this level is just bizarre. We haven't even seen her do anything in the manga at this point. Despite choosing to become a ninja and follow in the footsteps of her dad and brother, she hasn't showcased any significant power or strength. I mean, there's that funny moment where she knocks Naruto unconscious with one hit in an OVA, but its legitimacy is arguable at best, considering it's just like used for comedic relief. But with the revelation that another overpowered character like Jura has once again noticed her power, I'm honestly starting to believe she's hiding something. Now, the obvious first assumption is that she's had some of Kurama's chakra in her since birth. But if that was the case, then why wouldn't Damon be impressed with Boruto as well? One would assume both Himawari and Boruto were born with relatively equal amounts of Ninetales chakra, if that's how it worked of course. And that's not even accounting for Naruto, who had basically all of Kurama's chakra. Damon didn't even seem the least bit concerned about Naruto's power, but then again, Damon wasn't reawakened until after Naruto had lost Kurama. Still though, it feels like there's a lot more at play here than just a little bit of Jubi chakra. So the next best guess I've seen a lot online is that Kurama was somehow reborn within Himawari, meaning she now has the entire Tailed Beast chakra within her. Going back to Jura in his attempt to track down Naruto, this seems like it's possible. He was pretty clearly following Kurama's chakra when he stumbled upon Himawari and mistook her for Naruto. Back when Kurama died, he said his chakra would vanish, but tailed beasts technically can't permanently die. In the past, whenever a tailed beast or its host died, it eventually just respawned somewhere else in the wild. Kushina and Minato stated this before they died. Is it possible that a tailed beast could re-emerge within a human rather than just out in the wilderness? Going back to the original idea that Naruto passed down a little bit of chakra to his children, perhaps that little bit of chakra in Hima didn't actually vanish when Kurama died, and it caused the rest of the Ninetales to reform along with it inside of her. This would all have happened after some unspecified time interval following Kurama's passing. Obviously this is pretty far-fetched, but it's the only Kurama-related theory I can really go off of with the information we have. Clearly Himawari has potential to be strong. She has Uzumaki, Namikaze, and Hyuga DNA. She awakened the Byakugan, which Boruto couldn't do naturally, and she could definitely become an elite fighter with proper training. But to reach these huge levels of strength that the story's hinting at, something else needs to be at play here. Did she become an Otsutsuki somehow? Does she have some secret Kekkei Genkai? Did Amado modify her body? I literally have no idea, but my bet is that it has something to do with tailed beasts. Going back to the One Tail's escort arc from the anime, Himawari seemed to have some sort of connection with Shukaku. They bonded really well, despite this being the same monster that, literally destroyed Gaara's childhood. Additionally, she's an Uzumaki, which is a clan literally renowned for their ability to seal and synergize with tailed beasts. A lot of details are pointing towards Hima having a Jubi sealed inside of her. She could also be some sort of reincarnation, like the second coming of a god like Kaguya, but to be honest, I wasn't really a fan of the whole Ashura-Indra cycle, so I'm really hoping that isn't the case. I prefer when characters get strong on their own and not just like some predestined fate bullshit. But yeah, unfortunately we don't really have a lot to go off of right now. At this point, we can't downplay Himawari's abilities anymore. We didn't even get these kind of hints for a power as crazy as Baryon mode, but they're really trying to tease Himawari's power now. And it serves her right. She's just a wholesome character that deserves to get the spotlight. It's just a bit unlucky that her first opponent is probably the strongest character in the universe. That's what the power creep has done to this story, man. In a different timeline, her first canon fight could have been someone a little easier like, I don't know, Zabuza or Haku. Oh well, Himawari versus Jura, here we come. So the next thing that really interested me about this chapter was Jura and Hidari's involvement. These two are just so funny together. The whole concept of Divine Tree getting sentience with the life experience of an infant is just really interesting. It kind of reminds me of the death paintings from JJK, like Choso. Despite having these hit targets, they don't seem to have any real malice or an evil plan like your typical villains do. They just don't know any better. A couple people get in your way, what are you gonna do but obliterate them and keep walking? Like, for example, the scene with the two of them in the bookstore in search of Naruto is just really endearing. Jura's fixation on finding new life experiences and learning about the world around him honestly makes sense from his point of view. He basically has the maturity of a toddler, or an infant, but in like this alien-like way. It's creepy, but kinda cool. Additionally, we got more info on Jura's identity and power. He's confirmed to not be a clone of someone from the Hidden Leaf Village, since the sensory unit couldn't detect his chakra in their database. I know there's a lot of theories going around that he's a clone of Ishiki or Jigen, and while I think that's a cool concept, I don't really understand how it would be possible. A Clawgrime never had the chance to eat Jigen and clone his chakra. In fact, the Clawgrimes weren't even created by Code until long after Ishiki's chakra was extinguished entirely. I know some people think it could be like a result of Code's karma, but from my understanding, Code's karma is purely a weapon. He was completely incompatible as Ishiki's vessel and didn't receive any of his DNA, so there's no chakra to be cloned there. Another key detail that could potentially help solve the mystery of Jura's identity is his power. From what we've seen, the Shinju Clawgrime seemed to have jutsu that resembled the person they cloned, and Jura was using what looked like wood style against Kawaki and the Leaf Jonin. From what we know, that only leaves Yamato, White Zetsu, Hashirama, or any of the other characters that had Hashirama cells, like Madara or Obito, but none of those seem very likely. I mean, you could also count Moegi as a wood style user, but we already have confirmation that she's a completely different Clawgrime entirely, so it couldn't be her. Additionally, the hair of each Shinju also resembles their host, and Jura's the only outlier who doesn't seem to match anyone I can think of. Like, what is that hair, bro? It's also possible that Jura could be the embodiment of the Ten Tails itself. He seems to be the smartest of the group, which would imply he's been around the longest. And I guess it would make sense for a literal tree to be able to use wood style. The Ten Tails fission beings from the War Arc in Naruto could also kinda do similar things with their bodies, but not really like how Jura is using his ability. It's also worth mentioning that the Ten Tails body did seem to vanish from sight immediately before Jura revealed himself. It's possible he could have been summoned right then and there as a reincarnation of the Ten Tails, but the explanation for why that would even happen is unclear. And a final detail to help solve this mystery is that each of the Divine Tree Clawgrime's targets match a relationship that their cloned identity had in real life. Sasuke and Sarada, Moegi and Konohamaru, Belga and Ada, yet Jura's target is Naruto. Isn't that interesting? So now we've narrowed it down to someone who's not at all from Konoha, can potentially use wood style jutsu, and had a close relationship with Naruto. Who the hell would that be? It's very possible this is an identity we've never met before. But for now, Jura remains a mystery. The final thing that really caught my attention this chapter was Sarada and Hidari. I was honestly not expecting the two of them to meet up so soon, but it's really got me excited now. Sarada has now sensed Sasuke's presence, or was at least informed of it by somebody. She's aware that Sasuke was absorbed by a Clawgrime, but that's the full extent of her knowledge. She really has no clue what she's about to get into, as she's sprinting full force towards the action. Honestly, we could say the same for just about everyone here. Not a single one of these kids is a match for the Shinju if Kawaki got dealt with that easily. I mean, not to downplay them or anything, but the power levels are just far beyond Inojin or Chocho at this point. But back to Sarada, I'm really hoping for either a teaser between the two of them, or potentially even a full-on encounter with Hidari. She'll definitely be shocked with the reality of what's happened to her dad. I think we're all predicting this is the moment for her to finally flex her Mangekyo's power, which is one of the things I'm the most excited for in all of TBV right now. So all I ask for is a couple of things, Kishimoto. Number 1, don't make Sarada a damsel in distress against Hidari, and let her actually fight on her own without being saved. It's completely fine if she loses the fight, in fact that's my expectation, but don't just make her a plot device. Number 2, give us an emotional moment between the two of them. Historically, Boruto's kinda lacked with those heart-wrenching moments like Naruto had, and while I'll admit that's definitely a lot harder to accomplish with purely inhuman villains like the Otsutsuki, Hidari is a prime example where this could actually be pulled off really well. And finally, please give her a cool Mangekyo Sharingan ability. I have faith it'll be powerful, but I don't want any of that weird ass tech bullshit like the Rinnegan's Ashura path. I'm afraid it might go down that route with all the technological themes in Boruto lately. So just make her MS power align with her character and let it be useful. Even a repeat of something we already know like Kamui or Tsukiyomi would honestly be pretty dope. But yeah, with Sarada potentially running into Sasuke's clone as soon as the next chapter, I'm really excited. This marks the end of Volume 2 and the start of a new battle against the Shinju. We could possibly have multiple fights going at once here, which I'm really looking forward to. Please, let the chaos ensue. The Hidden Leaf has handled world-ending threats like half a dozen times at this point. They gotta be used to it by now. Alright, that's all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. The next big milestone is 2,500 subs for the channel, so if you're new here, make sure to sub down below for more Boruto content every month. Drop a like down below if you enjoyed, and I will catch you next time. Peace out, boys.